Welcome to another installment of BBC Outdoors. Soon to be switching our name officially over to Dragonfly RC. I know this has been done before, but we're making a Winnebago RV. What I'm doing a little different is I wanted to use a piece from similar era. So you're looking 70s, 80s-ish RV, 70s, 80s-ish Tamiya Bruiser. I was going to get started this a little earlier, but I couldn't find my SD card. So we got all this stuff off of it already. The battery box, the servos, the old electronics. I'm going to try to use the original motor just because I think it'd be cool. We're going to try to modify the chassis as little as possible. I'm taking these apart right now. I got to extend these back, but I think I can do it with the added on piece of steel. Longer drive shaft, and I'm hoping it'll line right up. Then I got to find some tires to fit these because I'd like to keep it with some Class 1 tires. Everything else is, for the most part, is staying the same. I'd like to put the battery box or the servo box back on in a similar fashion, as long as I can tuck it up underneath the body, the RV body, without having to be, you know, a mile high. I would like to keep it fairly low to the ground. It's not going to be for crawling. It's, you know, a little bit of off-road, pulling my trailer to comps, things like that. But feel free to follow along. We are about to divulge a little deeper into this and see where it goes. Alright, I'm going to do a little test fit. You can talk fast while you do all this. Alright, I think we've got about the wheelbase that we need, and thankfully we don't have to add too much. Not much at all. That was just gonna make sure we're straight on. Alright, there we go. Now we just got to build some extensions back here to hang the back part of the leaf spring. So, and that actually shouldn't be too hard. So I think I'm going to drill these and get them where I want them so that they'll at least stay while I work on everything else. Alright, we lucked out in the fact that the existing holes are already there. Is almost exactly where I need to be for my shop, my new holes. So I just got to drill that one right there. From these holes to those holes, so that's about 2 inches or so-ish. Then I got to build an extension back here, and I'm going to go ahead and build it all the way back so I can put a different bumper on the RV. Alright, I think we're going to go ahead and cut across here with the Dremel. Alright, definitely getting closer. I like the wheelbase that we've got. I just got to figure out a way to bring that front end down a little bit. There's not a whole lot of suspension in this older truck, so I wanted it as low to the ground as possible to look as scale as possible. Alright, in an effort to get it to fit a little further down, we got to cut this out of the bottom of the RV. And if I can show you up in there, there's a little bit of a doghouse in between the seats. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm hoping I can tuck all of the motor stuff up right inside there. Looks like maybe a little bit of plastic may have to be cut, but it's recessed. It's raised up inside there, so I'm hoping we can get the whole thing to fit and not be seen from inside the camper when you open the top. I'm gonna go ahead and get that cut out. Awesome, just broke my bit. Alright, it's all cut out, got the little plastic piece cut out. We'll get it cleaned up here and we'll give it a quick test run. Or test fit. I wish we were ready for the running stage, but so let's get it cleaned up and throw it on the chassis and see where it goes. Alright, we got it cleaned up and we're going to throw this on. That is much more respectable as far as ride height. I like that a lot, actually. It looks like we might actually get away with no wheel scrub when it turns, but that part's going to be snug. We bring it up even a little bit though, no wheel scrub. Alright, I like that. That went together well, actually. Let's like a glove. Let me take this off, show you this. So that is just about right. By the time we put something back there, I wish we could get might have to scooch it up a tiny bit more forward, or maybe just mess with that wheel well a little bit, but that's really close right there. That's going to be about the right size tire for a 4x4 Winnebago, I think. Definitely not paddle tires, but something about that size. Alright, so we've got all the minor tweaking and stuff done. We're up under there. Actually a nice little snug fit. You can stare right across at it. Everything's tucked up and in just like I wanted it, because I didn't want a bunch of stuff sticking down. Now we just got to make an extension from here to here to cover for that. And I'm going to use this square bar which is almost the exact same size as the aluminum, because I can't weld aluminum, so we're going to use steel. So we'll work on getting that bent up and we'll be right back. Alright, so this is where we are so far. I just made up this little bracket. And it's going to go basically right there. Sort of. I'm trying to do this one-handed. It's going to go right there. And I'm going to put a piece of L channel welded from here with 2 holes in it to those 2 holes. There we go. Moving on. Alright, so here's what we've got so far. Now let me show you what we got underneath, is what I was just working on. There's that. Let me lower this down a little bit. You can see a little better. There we go. Little brace welded to this piece, screw into this piece, welded to this piece. I didn't have much to weld to. When I take it back apart for painting, I'll probably hit a little more on the inside edges and stuff, but I did not want to accidentally hit one of those leaf springs and fugger it all up. So probably going to work on the drive shaft or the body mounts next. So alright, so I got my rear body mount thing on. I'm actually going to do a reverse body mount. The pins are going to be in the body and the holes will be in the chassis. But I'm actually thinking about using some bolts. I don't have any bolts that are threaded all the way down, but I'm thinking I'm actually just going to go ahead and use well, I don't know, that might be perfect. Might just use something like a nut or a lock nut to secure it rather than pins, just for some a little more security. But still working on the front yet. We'll get to that as soon as I figure out what I'm going to do. Alright, so we got the back one done. Now we get to work on the front one. And I just dropped that piece. But there we go. On with bolts. The front, I think I'm going to do some kind of I think I have it just kind of slide into place because the bolts actually do a pretty good job. So I'm just going to kind of slide in, lock into a spot in the front, and then bolt the back down. Alright, here we go. Got the front bumper on, and if all works out well, I undo the 2 screws, or the 2 bolts on the bottom, the 2 nuts, and it should just flip forward. Let me show you what I've got. That's what we did up front. So, in theory, if the battery and stuff goes inside, I should never have to go through all this just to, you know, do a battery swap or anything. But yes. Yeah, I like it. All right, I'm gonna drill those holes out a little bit bigger so it's not so hard to get on and off. But that's it. That probably concludes the majority part of my video. All I gotta do is do electronics and lengthen the drive shaft, which I may get. So there may be a couple more little installments for this video, but for the most part we're basically done. It's attached, it's ready to go. Now we just have to incorporate all of these old electronics into the new build, and she should be a running, driving machine again. Cannot wait for that. I will definitely get some of that on video. Alright, we drilled out the holes a little bit, so now opens and closes much better. Alright, here we are, the beginning of day 2. We are ready for electronics. We're going to get everything taken apart and at least get the cab back off and throw the electronics back on, and hopefully we can get her moving today. Alright, so I mistakenly welded on this plate because I didn't realize it was aluminum. Blew a hole right through it, my bad. So I had to make one out of metal. But so I went ahead and I made it a little bit longer so I can put maybe ESC and stuff over here and mount everything up to it, and it'll be a little sturdier, but it's just really just the thickness of steel that I had laying around. So that's more than what it was before. I was hoping to keep as many original parts as possible, but that just didn't work. So this is what we ended up with. Got 2 more little holes to drill, but we can go ahead and mount it back up, throw it all back together. Alright, there's the new plate all installed. I even got the grommets to fit properly. I don't know how well these are showing up on here. But now we've got a nice big surface to mount our servos, ESC, receiver, everything over here. I'm going to try to use most of this back, kind of like that. May have to notch out a little bit of this for the drive shaft, but it actually looks like it's going to clear, and there's not a ton of suspension travel, so it's not like that's a huge deal. So alright, back at it. Alright, so I just took a quick trip to Tractor Supply, and I picked up one of these to make the drive shaft longer. My thought process is, make sure we're getting this. My thought process is, this fits in there, very little movement, but it's spring steel. So I can clamp it down, once I cut this in half, clamp it down to use it for an extension, and that part will be out there further, and probably cut this in half and make 2 of them, but so that should give us no wobble, and it should make it self-aligning, self-straightening. So we'll cut this apart and see if it works. Looks like that'll work. Now there's a telescoping spot on here, and we want to make sure that depending on where our suspension is, compressing is actually pulling it away. So we kind of want to bring it back. I'm going to run it about in the middle-ish. So right there. So I'm going to get that clamped and welded, and we'll see if it works. Okay, so here you can kind of see that end's clamped, this end's not. That's how much it closes it up, and it makes it nice and tight and hopefully self-aligning. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get a ground on that, weld up that end, and then we'll swap it around to the other side. Alright, there we have it. It looks like it's pretty straight. I put it in a drill and ran it around. I'm going to clean this up, see if I can make it look like just one solid rod. I went ahead and welded the whole shaft all the way down, even though I only needed the ends. Alright, after just a little bit of cleanup, that's what we end up with. Let's go ahead and get her on there and make sure it's still going to telescope in and out as the suspension travels. Alright, one of the major hurdles down. And it's straight enough for government work. We're not building no speed car or nothing anyway. Alright, now we're going back to the servos. I'm just going to drill those in. I know I made it the whole metal plate. I started off, we had this, and for some reason I thought it was metal or steel. And I went to weld on 2 little extensions for the servo mount. And well, it wasn't steel, it was aluminum, so burnt the crap out of that. Now I got to put this on there because I was originally going to use this to raise these up. I'm just going to drill some holes through there, raise it up, and make it clear that drive shaft. I don't know if you can see that, but so we just need to raise it up just a tiny bit. Looks like maybe 2 screws, 2 nuts on top of the screws should give us the clearance we need. All right, I'm going to get some holes drilled and put all that together. All right, so this is where we've gotten so far. Plates on, drive shafts in. Tiny little bit of clearance right there before it bottoms out, so hopefully that should be good enough. If not, I can add one more little screw down there. But I'm trying to keep it all underneath this. Trying to keep it all underneath here, which is right there. So I gotta find the little tiny screw that I lost for right there. I didn't lose it, just can't remember where I put it. So I guess that's pretty much lost. Anyway, we're gonna get that hooked up. We're gonna find a receiver, throw a receiver in there, speed control, and I am very, very close to making this thing move under its own power. Okay, now we bring the party in from the fab shop into the hobby room. Sorry, the lighting is not quite as good. I actually need to get some lights in here, but all that's left is wiring up the ESC and receiver, and those old servos have old style Tamiya plug on them, so they're probably going to end up getting changed out anyway when it's all said and done. But for right now, I'm just going to splice into them and make them work just so I can get a functioning rig going, and then I'll upgrade some of that stuff more later. Alrighty. This is what we've got so far. Here's the important part. It is officially alive. Drive shaft isn't quite as straight as I thought it was, but you know what? Without a lathe or any cool tools, it's the best I can do. So pretty happy. Now for steering and then the shift linkage, but that'll probably be last because I may need something different for that. So it's alive. I could call it a day right now and come back to it tomorrow and be just happy. It's drivable. I mean, to only drive forwards and backwards, but pretty pleased with it. We'll get a couple more shots of it, and a couple more videos when we get her all up and running. Finish off this video right here. So it's it's nowhere near buttoned up. There's still wires and stuff running everywhere, but I can call it a night. I've got it running, driving. The only thing that doesn't work is the shift linkage, and that's just because I haven't hooked it up yet. But here we go. Needs a much stronger steering servo. Alright, tell me what you guys think. 2-day rain day project. RV from a Tamiya Bruiser. Both from, I mean, a good 35, almost 40 years old. And the servos and the motor are actually from the original Tamiya Bruiser. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Dragonfly RC, used to be BBC Outdoors, still are. Like and subscribe. Y'all have a great day.